Gospels, you'll find out that what do you call it? That's the, I forgot what I was going to say. So I think just popped up. You'll find out that what I just said is the case, whatever it was. Okay. Okay, so just, I'm not really good with sharing the screen and so on. So if someone can just share the screen for us, go on that whiteboard thing, and let's have a brainstorm of where we think St. Mary actually served, like the different things that happened in the Bible that show that she actually served. Anyone going to do it for us? Yeah. Thank you, Naomi. So what do you think? This is your chance now to talk and give me a little bit of a break.
She served in the temple from a young age.
Very good, yeah. A lot of people forget this one, but she did. She served in the temple. What else?
She visited Elizabeth when she was pregnant and she went and helped her.
Excellent. Yep. So I've got 5 here. Let's see. This is like what's that game where you have to, Family Feud, where you have to guess all the, let's see if you can get my 5. So I got served in the temple, visited Elizabeth. What else? There's one other obvious one.
Would you say, I don't know if that's a service, but when she took John to live with her?
Yeah.
That'd be.
She went to live with him, but okay, I'm gonna rename that one for you. I'm gonna say at the cross. Okay, so she served at the cross.
The cross.
And I just want to tell you that these are all contemplations. Just as a disclaimer, I'm not a theologian and I don't give talks about theology. So they're all just contemplations that we can learn from. So what else? We have 2 more to go.
Didn't she serve Joseph?
Oh, I didn't have that one. Probably, yeah. I mean, it doesn't say so much in the Bible, but she would have definitely done so if she's such a good servant and, you know, he was there directly with her.
Would you say that she served Jesus in a way, but he's her son? I don't know.
Yeah, I actually didn't have that one, but yeah, that's a great one too.
It's I don't know.
She did. She looked after him as he was growing up, and that's true. And if you're ever feeling like you're bored during the lockdown, maybe we'll talk about a few things here. And you want to think about something that's not your typical, have a think about how hard it would have been to be the mother of God to Jesus as he was like growing up. You know, I don't know. I don't want to say, I just figured out we're live streaming, which is like, but I don't want to cause any heresies, but just off, I was thinking about this morning and I thought, raising a teenager is not easy. I assume, I haven't done it myself, but raising a teenager is not easy because they think that they know it all, but raising Jesus, who does know it all, wouldn't have been very easy at all. So like, you know, something to ponder on, because she had a very difficult, not difficult life, like it was challenging, you know, she had to be very wise and weigh things up very well. What else? There's 2 left, I think, from the ones that I had, but you guys, the 2 that I didn't have are very good, so I might copy them off you. There was a certain event they went to together, St. Mary and Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Is it Cana?
Yep, Cana. And one more right at the beginning of when St. Mary appears in the gospel. Oh, actually, it's not at that point in time, but over. So I had the incarnation, just so that we can speed up the process. So I think she served in that sense too. But I'll elaborate a little bit. Okay. In all of those services, and I'm really sorry, but maybe you guys can talk to us actually about how she served Joseph, how she served Jesus as her son, because I didn't have them here. But in the 5 that I did have, I wanted to look at two separate aspects. So the way that she offered the service to individuals or like on an individual basis, and the way that she collectively served as a bigger picture. So, and you're going to help me with these answers. So if we can we take a screenshot of that in case we need to come back to it, and then we could just unshare the screen so we can talk. All right, so the first one, we'll go in order. First one's the temple. What is the personal service that St. Mary did here? Or an individual service? Anyone?
In the temple,
Yeah.
she used to. Oh,
sorry, go on.
She used to clean up after the sacrifices.
Yeah, it was a pretty gory job if you think about it. But yeah, that's her like direct service. So if we went back to our definition, the act of helping or doing work for someone, that's the service she was offering, the activity she was doing for somebody else, if you like. What about collectively? So a bit beyond the doing part, what was she really doing by being there and actually doing the activity itself of cleaning up after the sacrifices, etc., being in the temple in general?
Probably praying.
Sorry?
She was lifting her heart in prayer.
Yeah. What did you think she witnessed the most, like on a spiritual level, on a spiritual level? More so than what her eyes saw, but what her heart saw, being in the temple and serving there. I'll give you a clue so you guys can give me the answers for the other one. But actually not a clue, I'll give you what I had. So being in the temple, yes, she cleaned up after the sacrifices and all of that, but I'm guessing that she was there all the time, seeing or witnessing to, in a very close way, the reality of the brokenness of humanity. Because why did they offer the sacrifices? It was basically to try and atone for their in the way that they knew how at the time, to try and atone for their sins. So she was there, right there in her face, and the brokenness of humanity was there. And I wonder, like, she probably didn't know at the time, but isn't it like, it's nice to ponder on that she was going to actually play a part in, you know, the ultimate sacrifice coming through and incarnating. And she didn't know at the time, but it was just being there, feeling the need for atonement for all the people's sins and all the different sacrifices and all of that. It made her aware of the state of humanity. And my question, and with everything that we're going to go through, I'm going to ask you a question that relates to us. My question to you, to me as well, are we as alert? Do we have in our faces, as St. Mary did, do we see as clearly as she did and does still the other suffering? Do we see, are we aware or alert to what people are going through around us, or are we more only sort of focusing on us and what's happening with us? Does that make sense? Like, we live now in a time where a lot of people are suffering. Okay, I'm not even going to talk around the world. I'm going to talk about our own backyard here in Sydney. There's a lot of people suffering. I heard the other day, a couple of days ago, that apparently, you know, I didn't read the article myself, but I heard about it. Apparently the children's hospital, so children that are in hospitals are obviously suffering because, you know, they're in hospital. And as if that's not bad enough, apparently they're visiting, like their parents can't stay there for as long, or for as, like their parents are not visiting as much. So whatever suffering that they were going through, it got amplified a little bit more. And I was talking to someone in the hospital today, like staff, and they were actually saying that, like, lots and lots of people actually sent them cards and like sent the kids cards. They don't know who the kids are, but they just wrote colorful cards to be hung up around the wards to just brighten their day or their place up a bit. I heard that they've given them all this stuff to color in and stuff to do while they're there. It's pretty cute. I felt like, wow, like people actually sat there and they thought, who could be suffering the most at this point in time? And they thought to help these people. So where are we from that? As a church, like we're Christians, we call ourselves Christians, and we are. So what are we doing about identifying people that are suffering and trying to help them? Because if we don't do it now, I don't know when is a good time to do it. And if we don't get creative now, I don't know if we ever will. So let's look beyond ourselves and how to make this better for us. And let's look at how we can make it better for someone else. There's lots and lots of groups that are actually suffering at the moment. It's not just the people in the hospitals, it's people, that have lost their jobs. It's people that need to go. I just got off the phone with someone who needs to do a scan, and she can't even make it to the scan because, of what we're going through, etc. So my first point is, just as St. Mary was confronting the suffering of people through, their need for atonement and the brokenness of this world in the temple, let's learn that lesson to be sensitive as well to other people's suffering. Number 2, the incarnation. On a personal level or a direct level, what did she do? What was the activity, if we can call it that? Very bad word, but what was it that she did? It's not a trick question, like it's very clear. So what is it that she did in the incarnation, the annunciation and like from the annunciation to the incarnation, really? How did she contribute?
She just accepted God's will that she's going to carry the Son of God.
Yeah, so she carried the Son of God and she gave birth to him, which in itself is a mystery, but that's not what we're here to talk about. But, I want to ask you a question about what Ilaria just said. Did she accept God's will? Or how was it? Like if we pretend for a moment that we were there like a fly on the wall, actually, you wouldn't see it any differently than reading it in the Bible. But if we were to go a little bit deeper, did she just accept God's will?
Not only did she accept, she was probably like more ecstatic, because she says, like in her words, it was, "My soul magnifies the Lord."
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like, "Oh, okay, if you want me to." It was more like, okay, it's your will. I'm very keen to do it because I know this is the best path.
Yeah. So she didn't like just hear about God's will and said, "Oh, I better do it because, I'll get on his bad side and that's not good for me." She didn't even think, "Oh, that God is giving me this huge gift. And it's a great honor. So yeah, I'll do it so I can become a celebrity later." She didn't think of all those things. What she actually thought, well, this is my thinking anyway, what I think she wanted to do was she jumped at the opportunity to change her will. So her will and God's will actually became one at that point in time, because she saw the need, having been in the temple and witnessing all that we said just a little while ago. She saw the need for humanity to connect or to be sanctified, whatever you want to call it, through God's incarnation. And so when she heard an inkling of a sign that, oh, this is happening, and this is something that obviously God's people were waiting for, she jumped at the chance. Yes, she asked a question. She said, "How could this be?" But the explanation of the angel, I don't know, if it was me, I'd still have a lot more questions. But the truth is, she jumped at the chance of helping humanity, and that's the bigger picture. Through this, she worked, again, like we said at the beginning, hand in hand with who? With God, right? So if we were to say, like in a bit of a sort of a mathematical equation, human will plus, or sorry, we should start with divine will. Divine will plus human will equals what? Like when you fuse the two together, when you fuse humanity and divinity together, what's the result? Okay, not what's the result, who's the result?
Jesus.
God.
Jesus. That's what happens. That's what happens when we work together in the same way that St. Mary did. It's you know, we allow for people to experience God in such a great way. Of course, we're not going to be in the same way as St. Mary is, or was, but the idea is when human will and divine will intermingle together, something awesome happens. And in this example, something that people still don't comprehend until today, that God became man, happened because of that. And my question to us now, this is to us learning from this, are we worried about people's healing? Because what St. Mary did was jump at the opportunity of bringing healing to the world through her uniting with, or having the divinity and the humanity uniting together through her in her womb. So in the same way, are we sort of worried about people's healing, people's sanctification? Or are we still doing, and I'm not saying this to you guys, I'm saying it to myself as well, are we still offering services according to that initial definition that I gave you, by doing things or work for people? So do you see, I don't know if you guys, if I'm making it clear, but do you see how, yes, there is a service that you do or an activity that you carry out, but there is a deeper desire or a deeper thing. And that deeper thing, what I'm calling for the collective good, it's an ongoing thing. It's a state. So being a servant is actually a state. It's not that I kind of put on, not a state like New South Wales, in case you're wondering, but like a state as in a state of being. Like it's something that it's not something where you put your hat on or your uniform on or whatever to go, like going to work if you need a uniform for work. And sort of once you take the uniform off, you're no longer an employee until the next time that you put it on. If you're a servant, it's a state. It's something you can't get in and out of. It is who you are. And that's what St. Mary, well, that's what I'm hoping I did a very poor job at showing through the temple example and the incarnation. Ilaria, thank God for your question, because you give me a little bit of a break.
I was just going to say, like, did St. Mary know at the time that she was doing it for the bigger purpose, or she was just mainly focused on doing the service?
I would say, well, she calls God her savior even before he saved the world. So I'm assuming she had a bit of an inkling as to what was going on. Of course, not perfectly. I don't know. I like to think that I know everything, but just between you and me, that was a lie when I told people that I did. But
you do know everything.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know how she felt, but I do know even through maybe some sort of a spirit of prophecy, she would have understood the magnitude of what was happening there. I'm pretty sure she did. Okay. I know she was young at the time and all of that, but I'm pretty sure she was pretty, she was a bit of a boss, she was good. So she would have gotten it. Just to give you a little bit of a break from me, actually after the next one. The next one is Elizabeth. So what was the activity and what was the collective good, do you think? Well, don't all answer at once. Like if we could just have one person at a time, just because I can't, you're cutting each other out.
She went to serve her while she was still while she was in her early days, of pregnancy.
Yeah, that was the collective good or the activity?
The activity.
Yeah, using very bad words, I'm sorry, but like it's you know,
Well,
I'm getting old, and it's good that I'm able to string words together. Marina and Irene, it's nice to see you. So that's true. The personal thing or the activity was that she went to help from the outside. She went to help an older lady, and she's not thinking of herself, and she's not thinking of her health. She's not thinking of her conditions. They say she must have walked very, very, very long distances. I don't know if you've ever gone to Jerusalem, and like Israel, sorry. Walking over there is not the best. Like it's very hard roads, and I'm sure it was even much, much worse. So yeah, that's on from the outside, that's what she was doing, and that's a very noble thing to do, but let's not just focus on that. What was the collective thing, or what was the bigger picture? No, I don't think that was it.
Would you say reaching out to the outer community, like not just your
Yeah, but can you give me something a little more specific? She was reaching out.
the elderly?
Okay, all right. Fair. Yeah, she was definitely reaching out to somebody who's in a bigger need than she was, although I don't know. I mean, I was thinking about this.
What do you want me to say?
Well, Hagam, I don't want you to say anything. Like, I was thinking about this, and I thought, like, so you were just told that you're going to be the mother of God, and then you go, oh, oops, I better go and help someone. Yeah, she didn't stay till the next day or whatever. I think I don't have the passage out, but I think it says, and she immediately went out. She immediately went out. So after, straight after, she didn't celebrate. She didn't, at least sit and sort of digest what happened. She didn't do any of that. But the bigger picture, think of who it is that was in St. Mary's womb at the time. It was joy itself. Okay, so what does she do? She doesn't keep it to herself. She actually takes it and goes off. And in her daily life of service, in just doing the activity, as we call it, of going to help an older lady, she spreads that joy to the point that as soon as she got there, and as soon as she started speaking, the baby in Elizabeth's womb, John the Baptist, leaped. Okay, so that's extreme. That's sort of emanating a lot of joy outwards. And my question to us is, do we do that? Like, when people see us, are they like thanking God that they actually met us, or are they saying, oh goodness, like, seriously, I would have rather see somebody else, like, to start off my day? I know they say the second when they see me, so that's fine. But what about you guys? Think about it, okay? And of course, to be able to give joy to other people, you have to feel it yourself. So if St. Mary was like, oh my gosh, now I have to do the baby shopping, and I have to do this, and I have to do that, and she wasn't really thinking of the joy that it was to have Jesus, not because he was in her womb, but I think the bigger joy was that Jesus was finally coming. The Messiah was finally coming. He was finally incarnating to save them. If we don't experience that joy, and I say that to you more than I say it to anyone else, it's hard to kind of pass it on to others. And that requires a lot of work on a personal level. So I'm not really sure why, but as soon as I said that, I got a lot of blank faces that looked depressed. Not quite what I was going for, but it's okay. I'm just going to stop here just to give you a little bit of break from my voice, and to say that I want to show you something that I enjoyed seeing not long ago, and I want to share it with you. It's a spoken word poem by a guy called John Jorgensen, and he is speaking about little things, little people, little acts, all those little things that make a huge difference, not because they were done by great people so much, not because the act itself was huge, but more so because the love that was put in there, the bigger picture that was behind the act itself, like made it possible for these people to do what they did. I'm quite hopeless at remembering things, so I'm going to try and just, hopefully it'll play. If it doesn't play, just let me know. Or if you can't hear it, just let me know. I'm just going to keep it on a small screen because it freezes a little bit when I expand it.
We all want to do big things for God's kingdom.
Sorry, I'm just going to, disclaimer, there might be issues there that are not exactly like Coptic belief, but I want you to take the message out of it, not so much the little details.
We want to start a church. We want to launch a mission. We want to lead someone to Christ. We want to make a difference. We want to do these things, but most of us don't actually believe it's possible. Most of us doubt that we could ever do anything for God, much less big things. I'm too young. I'm too weak. I'm too little. I'm just one person. Most of us severely underestimate the power that little things have to make a big difference. When I look at the scriptures, though, it becomes painfully obvious that little people can live gigantic lives. Little actions can have a huge impact. Little words can leave a lasting impression, and little things can make a big difference. If you've ever doubted the power of the little things, then I've got a few friends you should talk to. Talk to the mustard seed, who, though it is the smallest of all seeds, when it grows, becomes the largest of garden plants. Talk to Abraham, who was one man, but gave birth to an entire generation. Talk to Moses, whose tiny action of raising his staff out over the water parted the Red Sea, allowing God's people to walk into freedom. Talk to Jonah, who spoke only 8 little words, but caused the most ungodly city to repent on the spot. Go and talk to Joshua, who with one little step into the river was able to stop the waters of the Jordan dead in its tracks and bring God's people one step closer to the promised land. If you've ever doubted the power of the little things, talk to the young boy who had only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, but offered them as a meal that proved sufficient to feed 5,000. Talk to Elisha, who simply picked up his shovel to dig a few ditches, and the Lord brought a downpour into the desert. Talk to Elijah, who discovered that the Lord is not in the powerful wind. The Lord was not in the earthquake. The Lord was not in the fire. He was in the little, gentle, soft, quiet whisper. If you've ever doubted the power of the little things, talk to God, who, when he wanted to change the world and redeem the sin of all mankind, sent a tiny human baby to get the job done. God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. God chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong, and I believe that God chooses the little things of the world to make a big difference in the kingdom. Never doubt the big things that God can do through the little things we offer to him.
I think the reason I wanted to show it here is because we just spoke about a little thing of St. Mary going to help an older lady. We spoke about the incarnation, where she sort of joined her will with God and with God's, and something great happened. And of course, the temple is the same thing. I think we've gone a little bit over time, so we don't have to cover the other two, but you can sort of think about them yourself. Are we over time? We are, aren't we?
You're welcome to have more time, Tasoni.
No, I don't want to bore you more, more time.
As much time as you need.
Oh, I don't. Well, will you help me in discussing this? Like, if I give you, so the next one is Cana. So, what do you guys think? The action and the bigger picture. The action's pretty easy. Like, you know, what you do.
She told Jesus to transform the water into wine.
Not really.
She's like used her motherly love to tell him nicely to do
Now
something nice for other people.
Now you're doing the Hollywood version. What she actually did, you're saying that because we know the end of the story, but what she actually did was she just went to him and she said, you know, she did what she can to help with the problem that was there. And the problem that was there, the face value problem, was that they ran out of wine. Okay. And, you know, it wasn't because she felt that the company or the people, you know, that were invited were boring and they needed to make it interesting. So we need more wine. It was because it was a disaster at a wedding like that to run out of, you know, wine. So she actually went to him. She didn't tell him, can you give them more wine? She didn't tell him, you know, hey, I've seen it happen before. I've known you for 30 something years or 30 years at the time or whatever. I know you could do this. All she went and said, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, maybe, was that they have no wine. That's all she said. She didn't say anything else. She didn't give him suggestions. She didn't, she wasn't frantic about anything. She just stated the problem. And he actually responded saying, you know, what have you got? What's this got to do? Again, I'm paraphrasing. Why is this my problem? My hour has not yet come. Okay. And a lot of people think that he said that because he's saying, you know, it wasn't on my schedule to do the miracle today. My schedule was like saying to me, or according to my schedule, I need to start at a later date. I read a little bit about this, and if you guys want to, there's a nice book called Jesus the Bridegroom. If you want to read it, it's a nice read. It actually says that in the Gospel of St. John, whenever Jesus speaks of his hour, he's speaking about the hour of his crucifixion. So it's kind of funny that when St. Mary says they have no wine, and he just jumps and says, or like jumps as in the future and says, it's not my hour yet. It's like, what's this got to do with the crucifixion? Very interesting. And these are the types of things that I think it would be nice to take note of as you read the Bible. The reason that dialogue happened, according to what I read, was that because, yes, she wanted to solve the problem of the bridegroom, you know, that they were going to get divorced before, you know, they got married, because if the groom didn't have enough wedding, that's a disaster. But then, so she wanted to help the immediate problem. That was the activity. That was the act of helping, you know, the immediate issue that was at hand. But on a collective basis, or on a collective level, rather, she, again, if we go through the thread, she saw the brokenness of humanity at the temple. She saw the need for atonement. She saw the need for the sanctification of humanity through the incarnation. She was a part of it. She went to spread the joy to Elizabeth. And at this point, she's saying, hey, everything, she didn't say, hey, that's me. She's saying, look, everything now is ready. Now it's time for you, the bridegroom, Jesus, the bridegroom, to betroth or to get together with his bride, who is humanity. And St. Mary kind of represents this bride in this example in Cana. And it was, so when he says to her, oh, it's not my hour yet, he's just saying to her, you know, it's not my hour to complete the work that I've come to do. But she's saying, yeah, but, you know, it's like they were having a cryptic sort of conversation together. She was saying, you know, come on, you know, take that role. And they say that whoever provides the wine at a wedding is the bridegroom. So she's saying, you know, provide the wine here. Show them, let's start the process. She was sort of urging him to start the process. You would think that if he said to her, my hour is not yet come, and they know that the hour is about the crucifixion, that she would have said, oh, okay, yeah, delay as much as you can. But no, so we know that she's on the same sort of wavelength as Jesus. She says, no, let's do it. Like, let's start the process. Let's, not let's as in she's doing it, but she really wanted to see it happen. She really wanted for the good of humanity for that to happen. But notice here that she's not thinking, oh, I'm in the loop, I'm his mother, they have no wine. He's supposed to do the miracle through her. You know, if she wanted the prestige of being the in person, she would have been the person to actually, like she wouldn't have just stepped away. But what does she say to the servants? Does she continue being in the picture when she tells him the problem? No, she actually tells the servant, you know what? He doesn't actually answer her to say that I'm going to do I'm going to perform this miracle. He doesn't say that I'm going to solve the problem. She just turns around to the servants and says, hey, whatever he tells you, just do it. She takes herself out of the picture as a good servant does. She connects people to the person they meant, or to the God that they're meant to be connected to. And my question on a practical level, do we look to link people to God's love or to us? Are we like, is it a popularity contest? Like we want people to love us for what we do for them? Or do we want people to like kind of see what we do, you know, the activity of providing wine, and automatically know that they want to know this Jesus that we worship and serve and are called by his name? You know, that's the thing. The last one is the cross. And if you want to keep on going, Naomi, how are we going? Do we keep on going? Are you just making an executive decision here? Yeah, okay. So the cross is the last one. And you would think that this is really weird that I had this one on here, but the act of what she did for that scene was that she actually, on one level, Jesus sacrificed himself, his life for everyone. The Father sacrificed his son. But on another level, I'm not equating her at all, like be careful here. So I'm not equating St. Mary to the Father or to Jesus. But on a level, she did sacrifice her son too. Because just think of any Coptic mum that you know, and her son, you know, is not being crucified, just like being told that he has to wait his turn for, you know, the canteen at church whenever it opens. You know, the mum will come in and fully blow up anybody that told her son to like anybody that talked to her son. But here it is, St. Mary, who is standing at the foot of the cross, seeing that her son is unjustly crucified by people who have no clue, because she lived with him for so many years and she knows what he's about. But all these people are just like, you know, they're becoming, or they think that they're very expert people about who Jesus is. And so they crucify him. And she's standing at the foot of the cross, doesn't record, I don't know what happened, I wasn't there obviously, but it doesn't record in the Bible that she protested, that she was upset, that she said to him, because he could have done it, she didn't even say to him, Jesus, you get yourself down off that cross at once, type of thing, as a mother would. She didn't do any of that. She just stood there, and as if this isn't adding salt to the wounds, Jesus says to her about John, St. John the disciple, this is your son. And he tells him, this is your mother. Adding, I feel this was, so all of a sudden, you know, she sees people unjustly crucifying her son. And through John, she's supposed to be the mother of all humanity who crucified her son. Don't tell me that this is not a sacrifice. She is sacrificing. And we know that when she went to the temple, when Jesus was a baby still, she was told the prophecy by Simeon, I think it was, if the name hasn't escaped my mind. He actually tells her that a sword will pierce through her soul with everything that's happened. And he's talking about the cross, obviously, and a lot of other things, I'm sure, throughout life. But here's my question, and I'll end it there. If we learn from this example, do we sacrifice our prized possessions? I'm not even talking about our family. I'm not talking about ourselves, but do we just sacrifice, time, energy, opinion, maybe, any of that stuff for the benefit of the or eternal well-being of others? Because St. Mary did. So as a servant queen, we know that she served on two levels. The act level or activity, we called it, and the collective level. And we spoke about the temple, the incarnation, going to Elizabeth and Cana, and the cross. And in everything there, in all those 5 examples, and hopefully at one point in time, you guys can discuss how she served Joseph and how she served Jesus as her son as well. But throughout the 5 examples we covered today, the special thing about St. Mary, and if we want to copy her to become servant princes and princesses, she wasn't just about getting a specific job or act done. That wasn't her core or goal. Her goal was the bigger picture. She felt the suffering of people. She wanted to take that away. She saw the wounds that people were suffering and wanted to bring healing. And whatever little or big part she played, we saw that poem. In some cases, she played a smaller part. In other cases, or examples, she played a bigger part. It doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, it's what you are wanting to do as the bigger picture. It's knowing or joining God himself in trying to bring healing to the world and to yourself in the process, because we're all, this is a very popular saying now, we're all in it together. Not just the lockdown, but we're all in this together, as in, if you bring healing to me, you've brought healing to yourself as well, and to God's body, to Jesus' body. So I'll leave it there. And that's it. Thank you. I'm sorry I took a little bit too long, and hopefully you can all pay Naomi not to do this again. But it was really nice being here with you. Thank you. It actually made my day. So thank you.
You so much, Tasoni. Thank you so much. Do we have any questions for Tasoni?
Yeah, I do. Is it possible not to have any questions?
I'm back. I'm sorry.